Hello and welcome to another episode of the Becoming Show. Today is episode 22, and I'm so grateful and so honored to have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Michael Nguyen, a Buddhist monk, but also a registered acupuncturist practicing in Edmonton, Alberta. And his office is called Insight Acu uh what is it, Insight Acupoint or something like that. I'm so sorry, Kai. And he's practicing at Lam in Edmonton. But here's the bad news for any one of us who's seeking his service as an acupuncturist. He only works 1 day a week on Monday, and he does the rest his 6 days of the week being a Buddhist monk, doing the monk roles professionally. Thưa thầy, thank you so much for coming to our show. I'm really honored, and I have to say I admire you so much because of what you do. Not only because of the profession of as a Buddhist monk, but also on top of that, you went and become an acupuncturist too, to do the healing for people, not just on the mind but also on the body. Can you please share like your journey? How did you decide to do both of these careers at the same time?
Thank you, Quinn, for inviting me. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be on your to be interviewed today on your The Becoming show. To answer your question, it's yeah, there's a lot of backstory to that. But I'll start from where I started my career as a Buddhist monk. And so my family was a Buddhist is a Buddhist family. They brought me to Buddhism when I was born. And so they brought me to temples every week, attending the Sunday service. And this was when I was born. I was born in Toronto, Ontario. And every day my parents would take me to temple and I would attend the chanting sessions. I also got to meet and make some new friends around my age at the temple. And in 2005, I encountered my teacher, whose name is Thầy very well known in the Vietnamese community. And he invited me that one year to come over to Truklam Temple and to attend a summer retreat. And at that time, I was already thinking of becoming a young monastic in Toronto. But that changed due to coming over in Edmonton because I met a lot of young monastics who were older and younger around my age at the time. And so that gave me the aspiration and the decision to become a monastic here in Edmonton, Alberta. And at the age of 10, I really ordained as a novice. And from then on, I went to stay at temple, went to public school. Um, and afterwards, I graduated in 2014. And usually, when we finish high school, you would often go straight to university or college. But for us monastics, my teacher, wanted us to go to a practice center, a Buddhist practice center, where we can continue our studies and take a year or how many years we want from school, from education, because we know that at school we have a lot of stress, a lot of things that we have to worry about, a lot of career decisions that we also have to decide. But for us, we have already decided a career at a young age. And so I had a chance to go to Plum Village, France, under the guidance and led by the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. And over there, it's a big community, almost about 300 to 500 monastics.
Wow.
And not just that, but also lay friends who come and practice internationally from countries from Spain, England, Vietnam, Asia, Canada, USA, all any country you can name of. They all come and be there to practice meditation. And so I had a chance to stay with that community and practice for about 3 years. In 2018, I returned back to help my teacher and to continue on with my practice and studies. And when I came back, my parents were asking me, like, what do you want to study? Do you want to continue your studies? And as Asian parents, they have an expectation that they would want their child to have a degree, a diploma, and so that they feel that I'm insured, right? In
Right.
case this monastic path doesn't work out for me, I have something that has a backup plan. So I
Right.
was thinking something along the lines that maybe that can blend in well with the monastic path I've chosen. And so at first I was thinking about massage therapy. and second was acupuncturist, and the third was it was like a last choice. So I said maybe philosophy. Even though it wasn't really, I didn't expect myself to be writing. I didn't like writing papers at all. So
Mhm.
that was the last choice. And I brought these career choices to my teacher. He decided that I think it's best for you to go on the acupuncture path because anyone can be a massage therapist. Because massage therapy, if you know that, it only takes about 2 years to get your diploma, whereas acupuncturist it takes 3 years. And this is I'm only just saying about that in Alberta. And so I did that. I enrolled, went to study in 2020, graduated in 2023. And I took a break for 2 years. And in this year, 2026, I decided that I had the desire, the wish, and an aspiration to open a clinic at the temple because during that 2 years when I took the rest, I traveled with my teacher to USA, to other places in the world, and to visit temples. And some temples would have an egg clinic in there. And
Oh,
so some practitioners would be either a lay person or be a monastic. And I was
right.
really inspired by that. I was really motivated that, wow, that's so unique. And
Mm.
especially for myself, seeing a monastic in the 21st century who's young and also has this aspiration, I think that's possible. I can open a acupuncture clinic at the temple. Uh, You can see it's very common in Vietnam, in Asia, that many
Mm.
temples have a clinic. But parts of Canada, it's very rare and very hard to find a clinic in the temple. So I wanted to offer something back to the community, not just in my spiritual career, but more in the professional career, right? I'm able to offer help in spirituality, but I can also offer help in the physical aspect, and that's by offering acupuncture.
And you know what? Being I'm a patient of yours, and I have experienced firsthand how gentle and how special the experience was for me. I just want to share a little bit. I have had a few other practitioners of acupuncturists, and I had never felt the energy moving, or you call it chi, moving around all the needles the way that you did. And I was fully, well, let's put it this way, I was shocked that I even felt anything. So that was my first experience ever. So thank you for that. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's because you're a Buddhist monk. There's something about the way you speak, the way you teach, the way you educate us as patients is also very gentle and deep. There's something very special about it, and I consider myself very lucky to even have an opportunity to be your patient. But you know what? Today's call, I'm much more interested in the spiritual health and the mental health that you actually offer us layman people. I find it so funny we call it ourselves layman people. But hey, so for example, when you were 10, you already knew you wanted to be a monk. I mean, that is so rare. Seriously, at 10 years old. Was it something, why do you think that is? First of all, why do you think you already know you want to be the monk when you were 10?
I think for myself, I was just, well, growing up in my family, I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters, so I felt very lonely at times when I'm at home, especially when my mom and dad are busy at work. I
Right.
have nothing else to do. And sometimes they would take me to my neighbors and friends' house. Yeah, it's nice, but it's like you like to have some relationship, like that a brother or sister would have in the family. That you're there to if it's an older or younger brother, they're still there, right?
Mm,
You have someone looking after you. And for myself, I had just my parents.
right.
And when I went to temple, I always felt that there was a warmth welcome, especially with me, even though it was a different setting, because at that time my Vietnamese wasn't so well, and many other young friends as well, and so
Right.
we felt like we had something in common, right? We go to the temple with our parents, we play around, play games, etc., or
Mm.
do some like silly troublemaker stuff, right? I felt that those are more connected, and At the age of 10, I had already decided that I wanted to become a monastic because um, it's something that was more of a, I guess it was more from my parents uh, watering that seed in me, like
Ah,
watering that aspiration in me because they took me to the temple and I saw the benefits, the beauty of it in living and practicing Buddhism in my household and in the temple as well.
wow. And then, okay, so that being 10, and then when you were in the temple and you actually stay there and learned, was it challenging being 10 years old and having to become a novice monk and learning and having to follow all these strict rules and waking up early? What was that like for you? I'm sure it's much harder than being a normal 10-year-old kid.
Yes. Yeah, just to answer that, yes, it's actually quite different. It's a different lifestyle, I would
Mm,
say. Much different than what you would think a 10-year would be doing at home,
yeah,
right? But at the temple, you have to follow a kind of like it's almost strict, but it's not as strict. It's because depending on which temple or community, a community what we call sangha, that
yeah,
there are certain conditions that they can be flexible with us because we're still a young kid, right?
right.
And so, but I still tried, even though I had given the chance to rest, not to and able to sleep in, but I chose not to because I wanted to live a monastic path. And so, to live a monastic path, you have to fulfill the requirements of what being and living in a temple is. And so, you have to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, 6:30, meditate, chant, go breakfast, and if I have school that day, then I get ready for school. I go for school for the whole day, come back at around 3:30, 4 p.m. We do even an afternoon chant. Afterwards, dinner. Then have some time left, then do some homework. If not, then my teacher would host a Buddhist class for us young monastics to know and understand the Buddhist teachings and um, the monastic conduct and what to expect, right? Define manners as well as practicing and living as a monastic.
Yeah.
Around 7:30, we would come for chanting and then meditate and end our day there. And
Wow.
that was the life for us, for myself and my yeah, young brothers at the time. And even though it was a struggle, but we were all struggling together. So I found that we weren't suffering. If were suffering, we would be suffering together. So
Right.
there's a sense of brotherhood right there.
That's so nice to have a brotherhood, like a group of brothers suffering together. How many of you were there growing up together in your group?
At that time, there's about if I think there was 10 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, 10
You
of
know,
us.
Taipapa is so famous for attracting younger uh, Buddhist monks because I feel like not as many older monks have that connection to younger children. So he has a well, you know what? He can connect to young and old and anywhere in between. So that's his gift. But
Mhm.
but to attract young monks to come and actually live a life of a monastic monk, it's actually not easy. And I think he has a very special gift to attract people like you to come in. Were you surprised? Were you like the training journey at your is probably less strict or less hard than when you were in Plum Village in France, correct? Because at that time you are now trained to become a full monk, not just a novice monk anymore.
Yes. So the lifestyle or the schedule setting was very different compared to Plum Village. I remember in Plum Village we did more meditation than chanting, right?
Ah,
And it depends on which communities, and each community has its own unique, its own um, benefits for that. And whereas Plum Village, they practice more towards Zen, and especially with practice of Zen, it's more focusing on introspection, focusing on oneself. But you can also look into applying that energy of what we call mindfulness. Now, today, uh, everyone knows what the word mindfulness and what the word mindfulness does for us. And so it's so beautiful that living in that community for 3 years was so um, nourishing for myself because I got to interact with many monastic brothers who practice. Uh, even as Western, you even get to see Western monastics wearing brown robes like this,
Right.
and those speaking many different languages, um, uh, Italian, French, German, um, you can name it all. And it was a beautiful interaction I had, working with many international monastics and as well many international lay people for the first time. And that opened my perspective of Buddhism, that Buddhism isn't just more towards Vietnamese culture, Vietnamese people, because that's how you're little and you grow up in a Vietnamese community, you only see just Vietnamese people, and
Right.
therefore you're only limited by that certain view. But when you're able to grow, mature, and able to visit other places around the world, you see your perspective changes,
Uh,
opens much wider than you thought it would be. And so that opened a pair of new eyes for myself, to practice Buddhism in a way that's more what we call, the Zen master would say, applied Buddhism.
right.
So yes.
I'm curious, like in when you were like, and of course we're gonna dive into mindfulness in a bit because you were trained in that as well. But in terms of the journey to you becoming a Buddhist, like that 3 year full training, let's call it internship, because that's like pretty much the testing period, right? Because you either pass or you don't. And by the way, I was very lucky because I was in Plum Village for 2 days, and when I was there, I noticed a very different energy in that space. I was able to visit both the different villages yet came
Hamlets,
have it, like, and oh,
hamlets,
sorry, I forgot the names, but the
hamlets, yeah.
yeah, and I was very, I must say, I admired so much about the environment, the village, the not just the people, but everything about that space. And what's beautiful about it is it hosts hundreds and thousands of meditators every summer. And then, of course, monastic novices like you come in and get trained and certified or pass the test. Um, but I feel it's so different there. Do you? Because you travel a lot to different temples and communities. What, like being there for 3 years? What was it like in terms of? Can you share the difference in terms of energy or even the Dharma brothers and sisters there?
Sure, I can describe it how it is, but the best experience you get is by coming actually there and
Right.
tasting in firsthand. And so I can describe it, but it's best for those any listeners, you have a chance to visit, it's best for you to get to know what it's like. And when I share about this, you know what I mean. So when I was there during that time, I felt just more warmth, more welcoming, no matter what tradition, what culture you're coming from. You will always be accepted, and yeah, more of a, what we in Buddhist term we use. You're flowing as a river, right? You're not a drop of water. You're not just a single drop of water. You're
Mm,
a drop of water, but flowing in the whole river. If everyone's flowing, you are also flowing with them as well.
mm,
And so when we're practicing eating, you're practicing mindful eating, you're chewing your food maybe 30 times, 40 times, and afterwards you swallow your food, to taste, the food, mindful eating, or
right.
even just going for a walking meditation, just being aware of your steps. And as we're walking, you may sometimes we hear the church bell, ringing, and we all stop and just enjoy the sounds of the bell, nature. And I think that one of the beautiful things that Palm Village has to offer is the environment,
Yeah.
right? It's far away from the cities. A city that's, or a small town that's close by is about maybe, small towns by 5 minutes drive, but from village to get to a city is maybe half an hour to an hour, from that. And I think that it has to do with environment, the environment that, many monastics who've been living there, practicing there, it generates and cultivates an energy of mindfulness, an energy of warmth that's always there for many practitioners to take refuge and to nourish from that. And
Yeah.
that's one of the beauties I can feel from that.
But also, like in terms of the monks and the nuns, I found that there is no Jacob, sorry, what's the word? Like when you know how
Hierarchy.
there is like a levels of monks and nuns, I feel like they are, even though they are higher up, but they are so welcoming. And even me as a layperson, when I come there, I feel so equal. Like I don't feel underneath them.
Mm, yeah.
And because they treat me so equal, and they have so much respect and so much love. I think the word is love and compassion, that it erases all types of like
I
bo-
guess all complexes kind of like complexes or
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's right. Because yeah, when you they're more that very down to earth, right?
yeah, yeah,
Even when a monk who's been practicing for many years, he still welcomes them. He still joins their palms, bows to them, and it's a sign of respect and as well welcoming you. And
yeah,
I think that's the beauty of that.
yeah.
And even have, as a layperson, you get that respect. A bow from monastic. Oh wow, it's a. I was like, wow, you are privileged and honored by that. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but you weren't able to meet Thầy Nhất Hạnh, did you?
I
Or
did, I did,
oh, you
I did,
did. Yeah, that was
I
before
did.
his passing. Okay.
For my own experience, back in 2011, I had the chance to visit Plum Village for the first time with my teacher while revisiting one of my brothers who was becoming a certified monk, right?
Ah,
At the time, the Zen master was still healthy,
yeah,
and I had an honor to pay my respect to him. And as well, when I was there during that time in back 2015, the men's Zen master had already had the stroke because he had a stroke in 2014. Right? He couldn't talk. He couldn't talk and interact as the way he did back then.
yeah,
I still felt his presence whenever he came into the meditation hall, or he was just passing by, coming for the mindful lunch. You can still feel his presence, and that was a teaching for myself to come back to the present, not get lost in my thoughts or not my worries, because I know that he's there, he's watching us, and it's a good reminder to have him there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, his presence and his work has impacted so many lives. So let's dive into the whole dynamics of mindfulness and peace. It's such a uh, it's so important because how we always focus on health, but then we tend to focus on the body. But as you or is an expert on this, and meditators like myself, we know I know that all of our stress, all of our health issues, all of our emotional problems starts from the mind. So if our mind is healthy, if we can actually help our mind first, all the other diseases is going to help itself. It's gonna take care of itself eventually. So maybe can you share maybe the importance or the root cause of a you being an acupuncturist? You work a lot on the body, chi points and all of that. Maybe can you share how does that is connected to the mind, and how does the mind affect our health, if anything?
Yeah, sure. Um, when I was studying in acupuncture, there's so many points on our body, and these certain points on our body, when I needle or we do acupressure, we are stimulating that part of our body, and that affects towards our mind. Some certain points, so maybe between your eyebrows or top of your head, is a good point for treating a lot of your stress, your anxiety, your worries, and having that experience and that knowledge helps us to not just for physically, it's also for our spirituality and mental health as well. For myself, we often at the temple we often offer Friday meditation sessions for English speakers from 6:30 to 8. And at the beginning of the session, we dedicate about 30 minutes of sitting meditation. And whenever I'm leading, I will often use some guidance, some guiding words for them to help. Because if we're just either just keep silent and we start the session with three sounds of bell, then they don't know what they're doing. And so,
Mm,
as even as monastics, sometimes we get lost. We need some reminders. And
right.
so, this is one of the reminders I would often say to them is that find yourself in a comfortable posture. Make sure your body is relaxed. Relax your shoulders. Relax your whole body. Let go of any tension you would be holding in your body, and let the tension flow out into the floor, right? And establishing our posture is one of the main things in meditation, because when you have a good posture, you're able to sit for a while and a long time. And that's why we always talk about establishing a good foundation, a good base, right? If you want to build a house, you don't build a house from the roof and the frame, right? Otherwise, it'll collapse. But
Mm.
if you want to build a strong house, you gotta build a foundation from the bottom all the way to the top. So to have a good foundation is posture is always one of the best things, and establishing good posture is the first step, and the second thing for us to establish is the frame, which is our breath, coming back and bring all our attention to our breathing. Just being aware of our breath as we breathe in and breathe out. It sounds very easy, but it's not many of us can do it, right? We do it for a couple seconds and we forget about that. We're
Yeah.
always thinking about something else, worrying about the future or thinking about our past. And so when I invite everyone to come back to their breathing, it's like I say that the breath is your friend. It's not your enemy or your foe. Think of it as like a bridge, right? But your breath is a bridge, like bridges from your body to your mind. And when you come back to that breath, you're establishing and settling your mind from what you've done today, all your projects, your stress. It's like informing them, like, hey, it's time to take a break. It's
Mm.
time to dedicate maybe just 30 minutes to sit down, relax, settle. You've already stimulated your mind already enough throughout the whole day. Can we just dedicate just 5 minutes, 30 minutes to sit very quiet, and we're not trying to empty everything out of your mind because it's hard to do that. It's impossible to do that. Your mind will always be thinking of something else. And so, one skillful ways is to allow our mind to focus on an object, and that breath is the object for us to focus on. So, allowing us to come back to our breathing. I would say it's a couple phrases and like breathing in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out, in, out. And something very simple, very easy, and that it gets people able to, hey, I can do this. It's not something I can have to sit and think that I will float, but or I'm able to sit for a long time. But it's something that's very there. It's very present.
Yeah.
You can do it already, automatically, right there, right now. And that's something that myself, my brothers, and my teacher, we've been offering that to many lay people. And when it comes to my own career, professional practicing as an acupuncturist, there are some techniques I learn when I'm doing acupuncture for a person, someone who's very sensitive to needles, who are
Mm.
coming for the first time. I would tell them like, hey, just focus on your breathing. Don't look at the needle. Don't think about what I'm gonna be needling. I just want you to close your eyes. I invite you to breathe in and I breathe out. I needle right there. Right. And in acupuncture, there's some certain techniques that are more bringing the chi or reducing certain your chi or kind of like following your breathing. Breathing technique is when you breathe in, I insert the needle. It's kind of reducing. And as you breathe out, if I insert the needle, I'm tonifying. So I can see that acupuncture goes well and blends well with my spiritual practice that I'm offering to many lay people.
Does it ever um like I'm surprised that you even consider massage therapist in the first place. Now that I remember that, because as a Buddhist monk, it would be really hard. Well, actually, it would be funny or weird or hard if you have to massage a woman. Is that probably one of the reasons why you didn't choose that? That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also yes, that's one not the main reason, but it's one of the reasons. And plus, my teacher also always offers his opinions that many he's met many massage therapists, and anyone he said that anyone can become a massage therapist, right?
Mm.
And there's techniques, there's time, dedication you have to learn. But as acupuncturist, it's very hard to find someone like that,
Mm.
especially who is a Buddhist practitioner or a Buddhist monk. And so that's more of a unique way for offering that because in acupuncture, you have to memorize a lot of points, memorize certain patterns, principle of treatments,
Yeah.
and certain, I guess, diseases or elements that many people come in for.
Right.
Whereas sometimes massage therapists, I'm not trying to say massage therapist is inferior to acupuncture, but it's more massage therapy doesn't seem to um, able to, I guess, have an effect more on certain conditions, especially internally.
Yeah.
That I've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really appreciated how when before you insert the needle, you would remind us to breathe in and then breathe out, and then you stick the needle in. It's so good. It definitely helped just to remind us to breathe and breathe in and breathe out. That helped a lot. And yes, so I'm so glad you applied all that into your practice. But then, as a practitioner, do you see the difference in terms of when people come? Do you see the connection between physical sickness and mental sickness that are linked to the disease itself, or do you just fix the symptoms or the body side of the sickness?
Yeah, and I do see that there's a connection between that, right? When, for example, if I see a client who's coming in on that day, they're very tired, they look very tired, they look very low in energy, and that means that maybe they've been straining their mind
Ah,
too much. Maybe they're a student, maybe they're busy with work, and that gives me an indication like, oh wow, you've been putting a lot more work on yourself, especially on your body.
yeah.
And when your body is affected, your mind is also affected as well. You may
Right.
think that your mind is not affected at all, but it is.
Yeah.
Because we can trick our mind in any way. That our body is telling us, is giving signals, and we can see that. And so I often see that I can make that connection, and even just allowing them to rest for a few minutes gives them more energy throughout the day. and and that's not in any practice of needling, just allowing them to give them some time to rest, because I know that throughout the day everyone has their busy schedule, and
Yeah.
not many of us are able to take some time, maybe at least half an hour to an hour, to rest. And
Yeah.
so, but I see that many clients who come for acupuncture from me, I always give them some chance to, uh, after I insert the needles, like I let them rest. I turn off the lights. I play some relaxing music, and I go away, take a step back, and I just allow them, let the needles do the work, and
Mm.
as well let them do the work as well, right? I just last Monday, I had met a client, and she was worried that she wouldn't get any treatment later on because I'll be taking a break. So
Right.
I said to her, "Well, don't think that acupuncture is the only source." I said to her that I've already mentioned some of your conditions already, and some things that I've made suggestions for you that you should apply into your daily life. So,
Right.
which is what? Appetite, your eating habits, your lifestyle change, right? All these things that you can do. If you're staying late at night, maybe cut it back. I introduced some techniques that I learned as a student when I was attending university, that to do a Pomodoro technique, which is studying for 45 minutes and taking a break for 10 to 5 minutes. And it gives you some space and time rather than just studying for straight 2 hours, right? You're able to have more, you're able to memorize and do active recalling within those 45 minutes, rather than just doing it for straight 2 hours. And
Yeah.
therefore, you'll forget. And especially those young students who usually cram the night before their exam, you know what I mean, right? And come to the
Yes.
exam, you forget, and you're worried, you're anxious because you just studied for the last 2 hours and what you had left, right? But when you practice in such a way that there's some lifestyle changes, such as studying, eating, having good habits of eating, having at least 2 or 3 meals a day, especially breakfast, is the most important time, right? Eating something very warm, drinking warm water throughout the day. It gives you, it nourishes your body and helps your body to have some nutrients for that to continue on to process and to work. rather than eating nothing in the morning, and then all of a sudden you're already studying for 2 hours. You're already straining your body already. So I can see that effect. I can see that connection,
Mm.
and that's something that um, most of the work is 50%, or I would say maybe 70% is more on the client, the patient, to do their homework, rather than my end as well. My end, I'm only just supporting you, right? The needles are not the treatment. No, don't think that needles will change your condition immediately, right?
Yeah.
I'm there to support you. And no matter how many sessions you come, I'll always insert the needles. But most of the change is coming from you. It's coming from the
Mm.
client, the patient, for you to make that change, make that um, lifestyle change for yourself. So that whether that be sleeping early or going for exercise, eating healthy, or even just studying, finding better ways to study is a good way for you to notice that change in you. Yeah.
Yeah. When you do treatments, do you, I guess, depending on what they need, when the patients come in, what kind of sickness they have that they are requesting for your support on, but do you see a like do you see the trend of new sickness, if anything? Because I notice in terms of just being older, because I used to be young one time, but now being 50, I noticed the body, the energy level is lower, um, and then the knees or somewhere pain starts to show up. Like there's signs of problem areas here and there. Uh, do you have like a because I know that's the acupuncturists, a lot of them fix issues at hand. Do you recommend people come in just to do like a tune up or something like that? Like maybe share a little bit more about acupuncturist, like different types of treatments?
Yeah, of course. So many people who come for acupuncture is more towards pain management, right? So you will have like some soreness in their shoulders, neck stiffness, more towards on their body. I know that not many people come for acupuncture for more of a tune-up, so more of like energy boosts, or more of let's say for women's health, gynecology, or men's health as well.
Yeah,
For example, acupuncture can also look into infertility, menstrual problems, all
right.
that. Uh, can acupuncture offers that, but not many people know about it because usually
Ah,
many people see acupuncture as a last resort.
right. Because of the needles.
Right.
Yes, it's scary.
Yeah, and then we live in a society where Western medicine is more well known, where people go for take medicine, take pills, go for surgery. Yeah, I'm not, and that's okay. And with Chinese medicine, acupuncture, well, we're there. We're like, where it's there, you know we're there, and we can support whatever sickness or condition that you're facing. And so that's something that we're kind of like the underdog, right? As an underdog or a last resort, because when people don't have done so many surgeries, they've taken so many medications, they feel that it's taxating on themselves, on their health, and they realize that it's not working at all. And so they come for acupuncture, looking for something that's more holistic, more natural. And that's true, right? I've so many clients come and seek acupuncture because it's his last resort. It's the last thing that they have left. And when they realize that acupuncture works, their whole perspective on acupuncture has changed. Uh, but we can see that now in current times. I read some articles now that science has really catch up in seeing that with acupuncture is more, it's helping. Uh, there's science behind that. And even though acupuncture has been there for many centuries, through our ancestors, through many generations, we can see that all the conditions that we are facing, or that we're dealing with, has already been presented back then. It's just a matter of fact that it's for us to come back to that roots, and for us to um, rediscover and understand much more deeper in that.
Do you find that being a monk practicing meditation and practicing mindfulness and being present, does that actually help you a lot in your work as well, being an acupuncturist and being so gentle and so aware of what's happening to this person's?
Yeah, I can see that it has a truly big benefit on on my professional career, right? And it's have and practicing as monastic, you gotta practice a lot of patience. People who coming in with different personalities, different behaviors. Sometimes you have to be flexible with them. Sometimes we have to adapt. Sometimes we have to be firm. Sometimes we have to be straightforward through that. And I can see that how my monastic path has led to where I am right now, and I'm very grateful for that practice. Is like because if I was not monastic and I was doing acupuncture for any of my clients, and I wasn't practicing these trainings or these beautiful qualities of being monastic, then I don't think I would be here right now. I don't think I'd be having a lot of clients or patients right now at my clinic if I were to open one. And so I'm very grateful for all those my my monastic practice, my teachers, my brothers who've able to show me and to help me overcome my suffering. Some sufferings I've met, and I'm still working on them, processing them. But I can see that when I welcome a client who comes in for the first time when they're coming for acupuncture, I always make sure that I guess it's a bedside manners. I always say, as monastic, we have the standard of making sure our fine manners, are the way we act, the way we speak, the way we behave, is is more mannered in a way, more formal, and I can see that how that interplays with my professional career. Right, people who come in, I'm not trying to waste their time, not to waste their money as well. Um, but I can see that after taking an assessment, I always try to see that what can I do for them? What can I offer them? Even maybe just 10 minutes, give them some ear seeds or do some acupressure, or even just doing a light massage is very benefit for them rather than just coming in, assess for 1 hour and I'm done. Right. So I can say I always try to be flexible, right, with my time. And that's why I always offer once a week because I only have that time to offer to all of you. And the rest of my time is dedicating to practicing, practicing mindfulness, and more offering more other services to the community.
You know what, Tay? I'm curious when you do acupuncturist work and when you do work as a monk, uh, which one is more stressful? Which one is more difficult?
I would say both of them are very stressful and very difficult. Um, I don't see any of the two are better or worse, but I can see that whichever way you go, whichever lane you go, there you'll face some suffering and some difficulty. And so I wouldn't say one is better than the other.
Mm,
But if I have to say what's more, I guess personal preference would be more on the monastic path, right? It's more not more suffering, but it's more engaging, right? Because I'm there working almost 24/7, right? People who call to the temple, they have they want to set time for consultation, or those who coming for a chanting session, we offer chanting, or those who are just seeking and or offering retreats, meditation retreats through all ages, from starting from the kids to adolescents to adults. It's more the monastic path is more engaging. You're working in all areas, whereas acupuncture, you're only just working on the amount of patients that you're able to receive,
right.
and the certain conditions that you'll probably see maybe 2 times a day, or maybe from time to time you may get some rare cases. But whereas as a monastic, you get to see a whole spectrum of everything. Many
Right.
people who come from different cultures, many people come from different areas of the world, different in not just that, but even the different characteristics, their behaviors. You also have to adapt and tune in with them, right?
Yeah. When you were traveling a lot uh, as a monastic monk or going with Thầy Pháp Hòa, do you I guess you learn a lot being in different places and meeting different people and different maybe groups and communities, and you were surprised at how on the non-Vietnamese community, like all the American, Italian, all those people. Do you find? And I'm curious. Do you find those non-Vietnamese more serious, more dedicated? Like, or do you see any difference in different ethnics?
I say they're more dedicated, right?
Wow.
Just because they live in the West, right? When it comes, for example, for a retreat, and especially different communities will often have different requirements to host retreat. When I was living in Plum Village, they would have many lay people who are coming, practitioners, would have to pay a fee. So when
Yes.
you pay a fee, you know what you're getting, right? It's a
Yes.
service,
Yeah.
and when you pay, you gotta make it worth it. Whereas in many Vietnamese communities nowadays, or back then, we offer retreats, or um, many workshops that are out a fee, and whether or not people who come or not, there sometimes people wouldn't be so, I guess, more engaged, more dedicated in that
Right.
because it's
Right.
free, right? In the
Yes.
Vietnamese culture, when you see something that's free, people would like it, right? And but if there's a fee, then that we're backing off of it.
Yes.
We're not sure if it's worth our money, or because we're very stingy with our money. We have to know if our money is worth it to be spent it on, right?
Right. And then in terms of yes, so definitely you're right. When we pay attention, right? So and we practice harder because it's definitely it's the investment beyond the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then now that you're practicing both of these careers, I would say simultaneously, but it is very linked together with health. And being a monastic monk, you probably help people the most on their mindset, on their mindfulness and peace. Do you find, like, when you teach meditation or when you teach how to be peaceful, how to be at peace with oneself, what is your, maybe can you give us a little bit of a guidance on how to do that? Like for me as a woman, sometimes what I find is I have so many um, cravings, desires to be successful, to be rich, to be beautiful. I like all these tham lam á thầy, what is it called? Like all these desires, all these cravings. And of course, none of that is good for my mindset or my peaceful and all that. However, it's just human nature to want everything and that is like to want that is the opposite of wanting peace, and yet in myself I say, oh, I want peace, I want harmony, but no, in fact I want all these material gains and all that. So sometimes I realize, oh my gosh, I'm actually having competing goals, competing interests, and I didn't even notice that until I realized, okay, do I really want peace of mind, or do I want to chase wealth and all that stuff? So I think sometimes it requires a teacher like you to remind us of how to, number one, to come back to ourselves, how to actually embrace who we are as we are, and and find peace just as we are, versus trying to be someone, trying to have someone, or be or become someone else. Can you give us some advice on how to actually accept ourselves and have self compassion?
Yeah, sure. There's a beautiful quote that Zen Master Tingyan had wrote, and that's called "Be beautiful, be yourself."
Mm.
It's a beautiful quote that I would
Be
like to
beautiful, be yourself.
always remind myself from time to time. Is that um, I think it's easier for me because living my lifestyle is very different to your lifestyle as well, right? As a monastic, we give up everything. We give up our possessions, we give up our families, and dedicate our time and energy to a community that's more offering back to everyone else. And understand that there's so many things that as ordinary people are often thinking about, and what we use the term FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, the
Oh
fear
yes,
of
FOMO.
missing and we are missing what's happening. What's the new music? What's the new outfit today? What's
mm,
everyone wearing nowadays? What's everyone doing? Am I partying? Am I missing out on life? Um, what's the new what's the new trend, right? And to say that it's good to know what's happening around the world and to see that and let's be more engaged, but to always be attached to that is something that we need to continue to work on ourselves, to not be solely attached to the fear of missing out, to the fear of what uh, is someone making more money than me, right? Of course, no matter what, someone will always be better at you with something,
yeah.
right? But we know our capacity, we know our limits, and that's why, for myself, I know that a lot of people expect me to offer more than what I'm offering right now, right? There's been so many comments and I receive as a acupuncturist that why you only open for once a week? Why can't you open like 2 times a week, right, or 3 times a week? And I appreciate the comments because I know that they want because I'm doing well. That's why they want to let me know, right? But I know that I tell them that I understand that where you're coming from. But I know my limits. I know myself, my own capacity. Because if I continue to offer more, then I continue to burn out.
Ah,
And so, as as Orne, as a layperson, there's so much things that are going on with not just you, but as well many others who are struggling, who are working against some of their challenges that they have, mental health, seeing maybe financial wise, or perhaps even school wise, work wise. So many things are at play.
mm,
And we have to know and remind ourselves from time to time is that it's okay, uh, it's all right to be where we are right now, right? To take it slow, right? Not everything you have to go up or top it up a notch, but
mm,
when you do things a little bit more slower, such just as maybe try out eating slowly at your meals, maybe eating breakfast. You don't need to rush, or you don't need to look at your phone while you're eating, right? Because we're trying to slow down. We want to have some peace in ourselves. It's why way of how we do things in our daily life. If you're eating, try to not look at your phone. Give your phone a break,
mm.
right? Give a phone, let charge, and because you know that later on you will look at your phone later on. So there's no need to worry about that. You don't need to miss out the Facebook messages. You don't need to check out your Twitter or Instagram. All those things you will check later. But this time, can you dedicate just to sit and eat with your family? Can you sit and enjoy the moment that you're in right now? Right? Rather than not be detached from the setting, detached from your loved ones, detached from your friends, because all that will affect you later on. And we can see that nowadays, yes, many young people, uh, they're more in tune with their phones. They're more in tune with technology because we know that society is growing so fast and we need to catch up with that. It's okay to not catch up, but learn to slowly adapt to what it is right now.
So you know what? You just taught us to slow down and not have the fear of FOMO. And you know what? All of this we know is true, but it's so hard. So do you have like uh like for yourself, like do you have a routine, a daily routine that actually helps you practice and live this way? Well, actually, you are in the monastery, so you actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do this daily.
Yeah, I guess I would say it would have to be an environment, right? Environment that
Mm,
you're living in,
right,
the amount of things that you have already. Can we lessen those things, or can we find another time to do those things, right?
right.
For myself, it's very easy for me, right? Because we
Yeah,
have a set schedule
yeah.
where we dedicate time to meditate, time to chant. And I would suggest for you, for anyone who's listening, that maybe you could also make your own schedule, right? I remember my teacher Tai, when he was still young in the summer, he would have a lot of free time, and he didn't want to waste that free time that he had, so he would make a schedule at a very young age to dedicate his time studying, chanting, practicing, and I think that's and I think as many people nowadays, we should be having a schedule. We know that we have a work schedule, right? And those who are working from 8 to 5, but we also have to have our own schedule of maybe detoxing, right?
Mm.
Detoxing our mental health, our and as well our body. Um, Dedicating at least maybe half an hour if you can, right? Or maybe if not, then 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes just to stop, turn off everything, and just go out for a walk, go out to, or just to breathe, or just to lay down for a bit. I think that's one of the beautiful things that we have lost touch with, is being more connected with our body, more and lost touch with being connected with Mother Nature. Because everything is around us, we it's a very we've been granted with so much beautiful things. We take
Yeah,
it for granted.
yeah,
But the most important thing is that we have Mother Nature to be with. And I
yeah,
think that for myself, I enjoy going out for walks after every meals, or after like a meeting, a long meeting, or even after a whole day of work. I just wanted to take some time to go out for a walk, or go out to breathe for a bit. And and I usually encourage many young friends to dedicate 5 minutes, right? That 5 minutes will not kill you. That 5 minutes, you will not lose that 5 minutes, right? Compared to losing what 60 minutes of being on your phone, doom scrolling, right? And so if we can, 5 minutes a day, just to stop whatever you're doing and just to either go for a walk, eat, or focusing on what you're doing right now, whether it may be eating, maybe just being present with your friends, chatting, or maybe just even just laying down, taking a nap, or resting. All that you will see as some benefit in that, because your mind is always diverted or distracted by something. Right? And so we can focus our mind to one certain object, and then right, coming back to the breath, right?
yeah,
Or focusing on what we're doing right now.
yeah. Hey, when it comes to most lay people, um, usually our life's goal or our goal is to attain more wealth or health or family love and all that. For a monk like you, what is your life goal? I'm curious.
My
Well,
life goal, I don't, I would, my life goal, I would say, is just to live happily, right? And I'm happy enough already, because I have a lot of conditions I can be happy about, right? I have a roof over my head, I have clothes to wear, I have food to eat, and I don't need to, uh, ask for more than any of those things, because I know that those things that I have right now, they're just means for me to be able to use in this current state, right? Uh, for example, the phone. I have a phone. And sometimes I'm guilty of myself that I tend to get attached to my phone for a long time, right? Messages, checking out what's happening in the world. But I know that this phone is a means. It allows me to connect with people. It allows me to um, communicate with others. And I know that this phone will not be there and will not go with me when I die. And so I know that it's only just temporary. And I'm okay with that. I'm not so attached to that. So many, and I guess as monastic, we learn to practicing non-attachment,
yeah.
non-attachment to material objects, non-attachment to views, and eventually we know that will have to leave this life one day. And so, whatever you're doing, uh, whether that may be being your friends, being with your loved ones, know that you are solely present. You're fully present with them when you have whatever time you have. And so when that time does come, whether yourself, your parents, your friends are leaving, then we don't have to feel regret about that, because we know that we have done so much. We have done a lot, and we know that we have offered the best that we can to this life, because we are all beautiful flowers in the garden of humanity.
Oh,
So that flower will have to wither one day. But right now it's still fresh, still fragrant. So learn to offer that fragrance, that beauty to many others, so that they too can find that beauty within themselves. And I can see that beautiful quote, be beautiful, be yourself. It's a beautiful quote, a flower for us to continue on and to be.
oh, that is so beautiful. And I think this is a good place to pause here. Thank you so much, Tai, for for being on this show. And before you go, I actually ask this question of all my guests. What do you do when things don't go well, when you're down, when shit hits the fan? What is your happy pill?
Personally, my happy pill is to go sleep. Sleep is weird, right? Because there's some things that even the amount of things I've learned and practiced, I guess for me, sleep is the best thing for me because I'm able to take some time to relax and rest and not to think about anything else but just rest. And that's one of the things that has been helping me just to learn how to rest. Rest, whether that may be laying on my bed or resting in a way that I'm just walking just to walk, or I'm breathing just because I enjoy to breathe. And that's why the term resting is so beautiful. That when sometimes we hear, we have a concept, perception that resting is by laying down on our bed, sleep it through. And that's usually my case, is that let's sleep it through. And then when I wake up and it's like, okay, I have a much clearer idea what I need to do. And so sometimes our mind is so jumbled, mumbled up in so many things. Maybe it's time for us to settle. Maybe meditation can also help, but I find sleep is the best for me.
Yeah. Actually, before you go, one more question, because
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm seeking for, the key is how to feel enough. Enough, not well, okay, in Vietnamese the word is cảm giác đủ đầy á thầy. Not đầy đủ mà là đủ đầy. I
Mm.
don't know how to translate that into English because English it's so limited. I think the only closest thing I could come to is enough, feeling enough.
Mhm.
And most of us lay people don't get to feel enough because there's always more. I want more. I want more. In your world, do you suffer from this too or no?
For myself, I don't suffer that, having that need or desire of wanting more, because I guess growing up as a young man, as you already have the the lesson, the idea of that everything is very presented for you, and you just had to learn to live through, not through, but to learn to live with it,
Hmm.
right? Whether that may be uh, wanting to have better clothes, better to have better financial circumstances. I know that there's that desire, but we also had to learn to moderate our consumption, learn to practice like the Buddha had taught in the middle way, knowing what's enough, what's too much, and what's too little. And so you can see that if you ever study about the history of Buddha, how he came to become the Buddha, you can see that he has lived two extremes of his life. And I think that the more we go to one side, we're going to be asking and lacking from on the other side. So it's always best to come to a middle spot and to find that, I guess, that balance for oneself to know that what's enough, right? And there's another quote that the Zen master have wrote, that you are enough.
Oh,
And
I didn't
so,
know that one. Okay, you are
yes,
enough.
you are enough. Your emotions that you have is enough. The things that you have right now is enough. So right now you don't need to ask for more. You already have enough already. So why can we not be happy with what we have rather than continue on to strive for wanting more and more? That only just I guess, create more suffering upon oneself, right? We can be happy with what we have. Like the amount of, look at your wardrobe, look at the amount of clothes, dresses you have, and ask yourself, do you wear all these dresses, all these shoes throughout the whole year? And if not, and if and you see that you have not worn any of those dresses in the past year or past 2 years, then I think it's time to let go. And I think that's the best way for many listeners to able to practice letting go, is that not just letting go of our materials, but it's also letting go of certain things that we are holding deep inside of us that we don't need to hold on to. That's burdening us down and down every day. So I think and it's easier said than done, right? And
Yeah.
so it takes time, takes practice. But I know that everyone will make it and will attain that that freedom, that happiness. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Thầy He Tạng, for being on this show today. I really appreciate your time and your wisdom, and especially coming from a very young monastic monk yourself. You're only 30 right now, and so wise and so enlightened. Thank you so much, Thầy, and congratulations for being a monk and also an acupuncturist and offering services of healing to so many people. Thank you so much, Thầy.
Thank you so much, Quinn. It's an honor to be here and to share my experience, my insight to not just you and to all the others listeners as well. I'm
And
very
if
grateful.
anyone is interested in trying Thầy He Tang's acupuncturist, he's only available on Mondays, but I think he's off for the entire summer with all the duties of the monastic monk because there's a lot of retreats coming up. But he'll be back in September. So I'm gonna put his website on the show so you can actually try to get in. And I highly recommend it. Thank you so much, Thầy. Have a great night.
Yeah. Thank you, Quinn. Take care.
Yeah.